Joining me now is the Executive Director of Heritage Action, the Vice President of Heritage Action, Garrett. Garrett, appreciate you being here. I appreciate you.
Thanks, David. Appreciate you having me.
Well, take me on your list of concerns about the State of the Union and what you saw last night.
Well, I got to be honest with you. I mean, you ran through the hit list there. You didn't leave me much material to work with, but the one thing that you forgot to mention was that awkward moment when the president told the female ambassador from Ukraine to stand up so we can take a look at you. I nearly fell off the couch onto the floor. I couldn't believe that he said that. But if you want to get down to the meat of what he said, I mean, basically this was a campaign speech. I mean, this was the start of his kickoff for his reelection. He checked all the boxes for the left. He came into office planning or promoting himself as some sort of unity candidate. He talked about that to some degree throughout the speech. But this was a speech designed to check off all the boxes for the left wing. And so that's why you have people like Jamal Brown on the backside of this saying, Mr. President, this was a great speech. This was awesome. Awesome job, Mr. President. The rest of us, like Governor Huckabee Sanders said, the rest of us that are normal, we're sitting there scratching our heads or laughing with entertainment.
Yeah, it seems to me this is a very important point to make, which is that Americans need to be smart consumers of the news. And when I say the news, specifically facts, because Biden's up there. I mean, if you close your eyes and you didn't hear any audio or you didn't see any television, and you just saw a speech in front of you, you saw the words, you might think that first third of the speech, which was economic populism, might have been something out of Trump, right? Buy American, buy American, buy American. But hold on. What he's saying and what he's doing are two completely different things.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. I mean, when he talks about 12 million new jobs under his presidency, all he's doing is in essence double counting jobs that already existed, that Democrats across the country closed down, drove people out of business, right, eliminated jobs because of COVID and their policies in response to COVID, and then miraculously they were brought back. What they're also not telling you is that states led by conservative Republican governors in particular, but state officials in general, drove that 12 million new jobs, so to speak. And so the Wall Street Journal had a report out last year that showed that the states of Texas and Florida and the Carolinas and Utah were the primary drivers of job increases and economic recovery post-COVID. And so they're not being truthful, but they're also counting numbers that they don't even own on their own.
Yeah.
And the policies that they support actually drive people out of work. And fortunately, we have enough Republican governors across the country that they're rescuing even the Democrats with their plans.
Yeah, I mean, they're saying, look at all these wonderful jobs. Look at all. Well, hold on, you shut down the country. You guys shut down the country. Now all of a sudden it's back to pre-pandemic levels, if you will. The pandemic's over, and now it's all back. You haven't done a darn thing. By the way, Biden said the words "finish the job" like more than 70 times last night. It was weird. I mean, he basically was admitting that he hadn't finished the job. What's your take?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like that's going to be his campaign slogan. Now, I did see some left-wing commentators say that essentially what he's going to run on is that Trump came along and promised all these things, which I also promised you. I'm delivering on them, and you need to reelect me so that I can finish the job. But what I thought was most telling, honestly, I think this was off script because I didn't see it written anywhere. And look, I got to be honest with you. Joe Biden off script is a national treasure. I mean, to use his words, God love him. Because at a certain point, he comes along and says, these energy executives, they told me that they weren't investing in America because they're scared I'm going to shut them down. And I thought, what in the world? Like, we just got the nugget of truth right from the president's lips themselves. Mm-hmm. And so he's talking about creating these jobs. He's talking about finishing the job. But yet everything he wants to deliver on in his so-called next term of his presidency is dependent upon energy. And even like the pharmaceutical industry, which he named by name and went after but for drug pricing and stuff like that, the base of these pharmaceuticals is actually petroleum. And so across the board, Joe Biden's very specific policies and more importantly, I think, as the truth was revealed in that comment, the fear of what Joe Biden might do is depressing the very economy that he's touting.
Yeah.
And so finishing the job, I don't know what that means. Please count me out of whatever that means.
I've got 30 seconds or so, but I am curious about your reaction to the raucous House chamber last night. I mean, look, this isn't your grandfather's Congress, if you will. This isn't your father's Congress. I mean, this is more of a populist strain in the Republican Party. You got Marjorie Taylor Greene yelling liar, the other guy saying it's your fault. I mean, what's your sense about the decorum? Because Democrats will say, oh, it's the crazy unhinged Republicans. That's what they're going to try to do. I got 30 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, if Joe Biden had come in and said things like, we have nothing to fear but fear itself, or some of the other great lines from presidents throughout history, then I bet he would have received a different reception. But instead, he came in claiming to be a uniter, divisive in all of his terminology, divisive from the podium, talking about Republicans trying to essentially kill off grandma. And so he got what he deserved.
Yeah. Garrett Bess, great to have you on the show. Really appreciate your time. Great insight. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, David.
Yeah.